The U.S. Park Police is responsible for the majority of the federal lands within the District of Columbia. The aviation section of the Park Police started in 1973 with one Jet Ranger. And since that time, the percentage of work performed is pretty well broken down and has been consistent to 1/3 to medevac, 1/3 law enforcement, and 1/3 to support to the United States Secret Service. The law enforcement is in support to our own officers on the street, in addition to other law enforcement agencies within the D.C. Washington metropolitan area. On the medevac side, we started out where it was about half and half of inter-hospital transfers and off-the-scene work, and now has gone to about 99% is off-the-scene, with a good majority of that coming out of the District of Columbia related to drugs, shootings, and stabbings. Well, going back in history a little bit, 1973 we started with one Jet Ranger, 206B. Between then and 1979 we have picked up an additional Jet Ranger. And in the early 1980s we started transitioning over to the L series. About 1981 we realized that at some point in time down the road we were going to have to go to twin-engine aircraft. And that was based on our river rescue activities and also nighttime off-the-scene medevacs. What we expect out of the 412 is not necessarily more, but better. The twin-engine capability will provide the crews the safety that they need to do the missions, and we just look at it as it's going to be better quality than what we've been able to do before. Another requirement that we were very interested in was maintaining product line that we had so far, and that was Bell Products. We've been very satisfied with them. They've given us excellent service, maintenance, product support, everything. We've just been very happy with it and wanted to maintain that line rather than come into a different type of manufacturer.
The Virginia State Police started in aviation in 1946. We use our Bell helicopters for med-flight operations, traffic control, highway patrol, searches, rescues, surveillance, and marijuana eradication. These helicopters provide a vital service to the members of the Virginia State Police and the citizens of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We have a Bell 222A, we have a Bell Long Ranger, and we have 3 Bell 206B models. The Bell 206 Long Ranger is used for med-flight in the Richmond area. Med-Flight 1 was originated in April 1st, 1984, for the purpose of responding to on-scene calls and transporting trauma-related victims to a level 1 trauma center. Statistics has proved that if we can have the victim to a trauma center within an hour, most likely he will survive. The Bell 222A is involved in our daily police operations. It provides us with a small executive twin-engine helicopter. And when we do transport the governor, it gives us that added measure of safety that we like to have, especially when we transport the chief executive of the Commonwealth. The Virginia State Police is approaching 90,000 hours of accident-free flying. And we attribute this to our Bell helicopters because of the reliability, the dependability, and the way they're made. We feel like it's the best helicopter made that meets and suits our purposes to do the job that we're supposed to do.
The Virginia Beach Aviation Unit was formed in 1974 with the acquisition of 2 Bell 47 helicopters from surplus. In 1989, we acquired the Bell 206B-3 Jet Ranger. The majority of our operation is in support of the Uniform Division in normal police patrol. We are basically their eyes and ears in the sky. We do other missions such as surveillance, VIP transport, as well as economic development flights for our city. We cover a 312 square mile operating range. We have 2 aircraft that we do this with. The topography of the area is mostly coastal plain and right on the ocean. We're border the Atlantic Ocean and the Chesapeake Bay. We are the largest populous city in the state of Virginia, yet 50% of our land area still remains agricultural. And as such, at night, it makes it difficult for any uninstrumented type aircraft to patrol that agricultural community. Since we've introduced the Bell 206B3, we have been able to provide that portion of the city that coverage which we could not before. We have, in effect, basically reduced some of the nocturnal crime activity in that area, such as livestock theft, as well as some drug-related activities that were occurring in that area. The Bell 206 Jet Ranger has proven to be a very reliable aircraft as far as availability. We have had little or no unscheduled downtime with our aircraft, other than, like I say, normal scheduled maintenance, inspections, and overhauls.
The Air Support Division's mission is to support the field officers primarily and be a first responder to crimes in progress. Our FLIR operations, I believe, are known not only nationwide but worldwide. We get a lot of visitors from overseas. We get visitors from a lot of the different states in the contiguous 48 states, and they came specifically to see our FLIR operations.
The best tool that we have on the midnight shift would be the FLIR, the forward-looking infrared. With this system now, we don't sit here at the heliport and we don't wait to respond to calls. We go out and we go on the offensive. Since we're flying around at a slow cruise speed, say 40 knots or so, I can look around, I can check out roofs of businesses, I can check out large open fields, I can check out just about anything I want to look at, and I can do this in the darkness and not be obtrusive about it. We take great pains to not get involved with something unless we feel like it's a very important call that the officers will benefit from, and we don't just call them lightly. We don't call them on just everything. So therefore, when we get on the radio and ask for assistance, they know that there's going to be something to that call. I think right now the law enforcement field for the infrared system is just starting to come into its own, because up until the last couple of years there hasn't been widespread use of the infrared unit around the nation that I'm aware of. And we're real proud here in Fort Worth that, you know, we've been a part of getting the recognition that these type of instruments need to have, because it's been an invaluable tool for us.
Everything we purchase above $50 has to be on a competitive bid basis. So needless to say, Bell has been very competitive in their bids, and I for one, am glad of that, because I do believe in Bells. I've flown Bell since 1963 in the Army. I have 10,000 hours plus, and I have yet to have a Bell let me down.
We started an aviation unit in 1967, and at that time our organization itself was probably about 800 personnel. Since then we've grown to nearly 2,000. And in addition to that, we've gone from 2 original helicopters to 8 on board today, and we continue to cover an area of about 22,000 square miles, about 1,400,000 people that we service. And in fact, we operate aircraft, or need aircraft, that are capable of operating at high elevations and lifting off substantial loads. In addition to that, working in heat situations that go up to 110, 112, 118 degrees, as well as freezing winter conditions, alpine conditions, if you will, in some of our mountain areas. We've recently gone into fire suppression activities and have made a number of drops with our medium weight helicopters, and have been very successful in that regard, and we see that continuing. We continue to do search and rescue. Search and rescue for us for years in this county was a grueling, manpower-intensive activity, particularly the recovery or the removal of victims from mountainsides or desert areas. Today, with aviation capabilities, it's a matter of locating the people, finding a site where we can touch down or come close to that, and evacuating the personnel. And it's made a tremendous difference to us, both in cost and manpower activity. You can see, as we speak about the variety of missions that our aviation operation performs here in San Bernardino County, that we could not survive literally without them. They're as much a piece of our activity as our patrol officer operations on the street. And surely, while it's a large part of our operation today, it will be even larger as our population and the complexity of our role grows.
The Delaware State Police Aviation Section is just one section within the State Police. We do several different operations. We do a major part of our work is in the EMS field. We also do crime scene searches. We're asked to perform a lot of search and rescue missions in conjunction with the United States Coast Guard along our marshland and our beach areas. We also transport VIPs when we're called upon to. So we handle several different functions within the state. You can take one of our aircraft and fly it from the northern borders to the southern borders in approximately 40 to 45 minutes. And it's from the east border to the west border at its widest point in approximately 15 to 20 minutes. We're very fortunate to have 3 aircraft, one in each county, which reduces our response time to approximately 8 to 10 minutes at the most. This helps save lives. Of these 3 aircraft, we have performed approximately 1,800 calls for medical assistance in 1990. 850 of those 1,800 calls were transports from an accident scene or a residence to a hospital using Bell aircraft. Our primary aircraft are the Bell 206 Long Ranger 3s. We chose this type of aircraft because of its versatility, its excellent track record. It's a proven, reliable aircraft. It's very popular within the aviation and law enforcement field. It's reliable. The operating cost per hour is well within a state police's budget to operate, and we find that we can do so many things with it.
The mountains in Kentucky, and especially southeastern Kentucky, offer everything that a helicopter pilot is not really wanting to go out every morning and face. It offers a high-density altitude on a hot day. We have wires, we have very large trees, we have small landing zones or hover areas to get into. The mission of this aircraft is to, once it discovers marijuana from altitude, to get down low and direct the ground units into the patch of marijuana that we find. At that period of time, the pilot is being demanded all of his skills, plus the aircraft is being called on very heavily. But this aircraft is just an outstanding performer for this law enforcement mission. One of our vital missions is to protect the frontline officer. And we utilize our pilot skills and aviation skills, as well as this aircraft, to become an implement or tool to provide safety as well as efficient law enforcement for that frontline unit. An important piece of equipment mounted on this aircraft is the FLIR 2000 that we often get called upon to utilize, and especially during the hours of darkness when safety is a vital concern for the officers at the crime scene. Something that makes this 206L an excellent aircraft to use in law enforcement is the high inertia rotor system, the twist grip throttle, and that's something that the pilots often talk about as far as enhanced safety goes. In the event of an engine failure, we can actually get to that twist grip throttle instead of having to reach overhead for power control lever. This Bell helicopter gives us the added margin of safety we feel that we need to stay alive out there and at the same time complete the mission. I imagine most other states are approached by the other manufacturers, and a criteria that I've placed upon those folks is to meet Bell standards. And as you can see, that's probably why we're still flying a 206L. They haven't met the standards.